Are you feeling like you're playing a lot of shows lately, but you're just not getting your fan numbers up? Today on the podcast, we're talking about ways that you can get more people to remember who you are after you've played your gigs to grow that fan base. We'll see you on the inside. What's going on, everybody? How are you doing? Thank you for joining me today on this podcast, the Songwriters Podcast. I really appreciate you swinging by. If you are new here, thank you for finding me. I really enjoy talking to you folks out there. If you are a repeat visitor, thank you as well. I can't thank you guys enough. There are tons of places you could be on the internet, on the podcast scene, and you were choosing to listen to me, so I really, really appreciate that. I always will try to take time out in the beginning of my podcast to say that. Okay, and also just wanted to notify you that you can listen to this podcast on Spotify. You can subscribe there. You can also check it out on Apple Podcasts, as well as on my YouTube channel where you can see the video version of this. And last but not least, my website, www.songwritersplanner.com. All the goodness, all of it, all over there. Okay, so today's podcast, I wanted to talk about something that can be frustrating to artists and musicians and bands. And as you're out there playing and you're hitting the pavement and you're out there grinding at these gigs and shows, whether they're coffee houses, local venues, national venues, whatever, we all have this issue we deal with. And that is, how do you get people to remember who you are after you've played your gig? Or how do you get it in their mind that when you play your gig that you want them to remember you? Now, why is this a problem? Well, because it depends on what kind of environment you're playing in, but most likely if you're playing a show, you know, you're bundled up with a bunch of different artists. It's really hard sometimes to stand out. Now, yes, of course, there's always times where if you're an artist and you're playing and you have, you know, an amazing response, which is great, and you get fans, you know, come up to you after the show and they say, "Oh, great, you're a killer." You know, that's really, really awesome that you can do that. However, it is really difficult to get people to really, really remember who you are, to where they come back and see you again, or they listen to your music on streaming services, or they really, really invest in you. And I'm not just talking money, I'm talking their ears. You know, they may sign up for your email list. How do you get people to even remember you when there's so much going on? They might be there checking you out, might see you for the first time, and then their best friend that they haven't seen in 10 years walks into the club. And they start talking, and you kind of just fade into the background. These are all scenarios that really are real scenarios that happen for us as musicians and artists. So it's a struggle sometimes to get people to really remember who you are, especially if you're not the focal point of someone's evening or event or whatnot, right? Now, why is it so important for this? Because going out and playing live is the way that we express ourselves as musicians, and it can be the number one way that we actually meet people and meet new people, especially if we're not social media savvy and we don't spend a lot of time on social media promoting ourselves. Going out and playing shows could be the number one way that you actually gain a following. Now, that could be a different pace. It could be really, really slow, or you could be doing things to gain a following much faster. And that is what today's podcast is about, is to maybe think about the things that you can do at your shows that will help you, give you better chances for people to actually remember who you are, so that they come back later and watch you again. Or like I said, listen to you online, etc., etc. So, okay. So before I jump into that, I wanted to talk about a few things where a lot of us fall short. And I include myself in that. I always include myself in this category. You know, I know what it's like to go to the gig, go to a show that you've been planning for a long time. You're excited. You want to play well. You want to put on your best performance. You want to make sure that you sound good. You want to make sure you guys all look good if you're in a band, or if you're in a solo act. You want to make sure you have your instrument tuned. I mean, you just have a million things going on. And one of the last things that you may be thinking about, believe it or not, is how to retain a fan at the end of your show or during your show, so that they come back and see you the next time. It is, believe it or not, that is not always the number one thing we think about. We are there in the moment. We're there to play our best show. We're there to do what we have rehearsed to do. And we don't always think ahead to how to get people to stick around and maybe come see you at the next show. That is where I think a lot of us fall short when we go out and play our shows and when we book. We're not thinking ahead in a sense that we should be doing these things to maximize our chances to grow our fan base. We kind of just easily assume that we're going to play, everybody's going to dig it, and they're going to find out who we are, and they're going to look us up online, and they're going to see when we're playing next, and it's going to be like a proactive thing on the audience's side. It is really most of the time not that scenario. We are the ones that have to be proactive. We as the musician have to be proactive and to get these people to understand or to realize who you are and how easy it is. Make it easy for them to find you and follow you. It is more work on our end than it is going to be on the fans' end. I think that's kind of where we fall short as musicians, is we expect fans to do all the work after they've seen you, where in reality, we have to do all the work to make sure they come back. So what kind of things can we do? Let's talk about that. What can we do at our shows to make our chances better that we will get a return, or we will retain our fans or retain people that just found out about us? What can we do? Okay, let's talk about a few of those things. Well, the number one thing that is probably the easiest thing to do is, while you're up on stage, talk about who you are, what your name is. If you're a band name, say your band name, what your name is, and how people can find you online. I've been to numerous shows where I will go and I won't even hear the band say their name, maybe once at the beginning of the set. And then that's it. Well, a lot of people don't get there at the beginning of your set. They may get there in the middle or towards the end. And if you don't say who you are and where they can find you online, if someone is really interested but shy, they may not come up to you later on and go, what's your name? Or what can I find you online? You have to assume that people don't know who you are and they don't know how to find you. You have to assume that so that you can be proactive and tell them, this is the band name, this is who we are, this is where you can find us online, here's our website address, look us up under this name on Facebook, whatever it is. Don't assume that they will know. You have to tell people. You have to tell them more than once while you're on stage. So that would probably be the number one thing, and the easiest thing to do is to just make sure that over numerous times during your set, in the beginning, the middle, the end, whenever, to say who you are. That's super important. If you can put up signage like a banner, even better. Tell the drummer to put something on his bass drum. If you are a solo artist, make sure you try to bring like a small sign that just says who you are and your website address on there. It will make a big difference to people who will actually see that. They may take a photo of it. They may write it down. They may text it to themselves. Whatever it is, it shows that, hey, I care about you finding out more about me. So that's what that does. Talking about yourself on stage and maybe putting up some signs, scrims, banners, anything possible to put your logo out there, okay? What else can we do? How about after you play your show? And this is a really big one. This is one that is unique to our technological age that we live in. If you have a website, and I hope you do, and if you don't, that's okay. You don't need a website. You can also do this by signing up for other services. But if you can set up a page on your website that is specifically for entering email addresses, something that says, enter your email address, hit submit, and boom, that signs someone up for your email list. If you can set that up on your phone, and that way when you get off stage and you're schmoozing with people and you're talking to people and people say, wow, I really liked you, where can I check you out? You obviously say, here's my social media, and you immediately pull out your phone, have that page ready to go, and say, if you'd like to sign up on my email list, here you go. It's right there. And all they have to do is literally grab your phone, put in their email address, and hit send. They are now submitted to your newsletter. It is quick, it is easy, and it is impulsive. I don't think that we do that enough as musicians, but it is a great way to get email addresses, which is the golden ticket when you find new fans, because then you can add them to your email list. They've given you their email address literally by themselves, and now you have a new fan on your email address, and that is the golden egg of ticket egg of getting people, connecting with them, and what I said, retain them so that they know they can find you again or you can contact them. That's a big deal. Having an email sign up list on your phone that you can give someone right after you play so they can sign up for your email list. Think about using that. There are a lot of free services to allow you to do that. You don't even need to have a website. You can use services like MailChimp or something like that, where you can do like a one-page sign-up thing. It's free, and you'll start your email list if you don't have one already. So think about that. That's a really good idea. What else can you do? If you have merchandise and you're selling merch or something, make sure it's visible in an area where people can actually see it, and make sure that after you play, you're sitting by your merch booth. People will see you there, and they'll see you next to your t-shirts. They'll see you next to your logo. This is a great way to connect with people so that they remember who you are. Be friendly, be happy, be appreciative that people are talking to you, and that you have people who have interest in what you're doing as far as your music goes and whatever it is. So if you have a merch booth, or if you have any kind of albums or anything, old school CDs, put them out there and stand next to it when you're done loading out, or when you're done packing up, and talk with people. If people come by, just say, hey, thanks for checking out the show. I really appreciate it. Just be very friendly and be appreciative, like I said. And that's a great way for people to remember who you are, because they will remember you being genuine and honest. And a lot of people don't expect that from performers and artists. And to have someone who is like that and very personable, it makes a big difference. And it really stands out in people's minds when they think about who you are and what they saw and how much they liked you. Okay, so checking out, standing by the merch booth. Even if you don't have a merch booth, that's okay. If you get a chance to talk to people after the show, make sure that you carry yourself in that kind of a way, and that you carry yourself in a way that you're memorable to them. And it doesn't take a lot to be memorable to someone, especially if they just saw you on stage and they don't know what to expect. Okay, so remember that part. I might have to do another podcast on that one, because that's a whole different scenario. But I just wanted to mention that. And how about for bonus points, you hand out stickers with your logo on it immediately after the show, or you give some out to the people in the crowd. Stickers are very cheap to make these days. You can get 500 printed for a very decent price. They don't have to be fancy. They don't have to be expensive. They can just be something that you can give to people that they can take, put in their pocket, put in their wallet, and maybe forget about it. And then the next day or the next week when they're at work, they pull out their wallet and they see your sticker in there and go, oh yeah, I remember this band, or I remember this person. They were great. Boom, they look you up online, and there you go. Okay, so it's really cool to have like a sticker. Stickers work best, I think, because they're so easy to hand out, and they can be cheaply made, and they get stuck everywhere. You can stick them in the bathroom, wherever. They're just really cool to give someone that they can take with them. If you don't have stickers, make a flyer. Flyers are easy to make. Make a flyer with your logo on it, with your website address on it, and maybe your next couple shows that you have coming up. That's a great way to give people something of you. Give them something to leave with so that they remember who you are. And that will make a big difference when it comes to growing your fan base and getting more people involved with who you are as an artist. If you do all these things, especially if they can take something with them after your gig, that's super, super important. And it's kind of special to them, because they may not remember you. They're not going to remember you. They went out and partied with friends on the weekend. They saw you. They thought that they liked you. And they said, oh, yeah, great. And then you had a quick conversation with them, and you gave them a sticker, and they walked out of the bar, or they walked out of the club and went to the next one. And then next thing you know, they find your sticker, and they go, oh, yeah, I remember that person. That's another great way of making people or helping people remember who you are after you leave. In a perfect world, we'd like to think, oh, yeah, my music's going to speak for itself, and they're going to like me right away. They're going to like what I do. They'll like what I sing. And you're going to gain a new fan immediately. Yes, that could be true. Yes, that could happen. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. But if you do these things in accordance to doing your best and playing great, you will maximize your potential, your opportunities to keep and retain new fans. And that's really what it's all about when it comes to growing a fan base, no matter if you're local, national, or whatever it is. It all comes down to getting people involved with who you are if they don't know who you are, and how they can find you. So that's today's podcast. I hope you guys got some value out of this, especially if you're hitting the clubs and you're hitting the circuits and you're trying to gain new fans by playing live. There's no better feeling than doing that. And I hope that these tips help you when it comes to finding new fans and proactive ways that you can ensure your chances to get better numbers and to retain the people that have come to see you or new fans, but even better yet. So, all right, guys. Thank you again for joining me on this podcast. I really appreciate it. As I said, please check out my Spotify, Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. You can watch this, as well as my website, songwritersplanner.com. And I will see you at the next podcast. Peace out. Mike.